I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If we can have a roll call, please.
Jennifer Svigny,
Here.
Mike Donlin,
Here.
Judy Schulte, Chris Johnsey,
Present.
Jan Mazzarelli. Here.
All right, and Judy's absent with the excuse, right? Okay. First on the agenda is the approval of the March 9th meeting minutes. Any corrections, comments?
I have one correction. In attendance, I don't think Zach Crane or Melissa Prowse were at that March meeting. That's for my office in the county.
Oh,
So I don't think they were there.
okay.
Make that correction.
Not online or?
Yeah, I don't,
Zoom?
were they there? I don't recall them on the Zoom meeting.
You're right. I don't.
There was no business for the county on that.
Hmm.
So
I think that was probably from the previous minutes.
it could have been.
Because that was, I think our previous
What?
ones were.
When I saw that, I was like, I started scratching my brain.
Well, then I will make a motion to approve the minutes with the correction of who was in attendance.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, meeting minutes approved. And now approval for this evening's agenda.
I will approve this evening's agenda regarding concrete placement and a request for variance to allow an accessory building.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. We will continue. Do we have any communications or notices that we need to be aware of? I see we have a correction to some of the submitted material for this evening.
Anything that I'm aware of.
All right. We don't have a public hearing, so so the first on the agenda is the request for a variance on the industrial parcel on Big Sky Drive. Do we have someone here to speak to that? No.
I believe on Zoom.
Yes, my name is Chris Barnett, representing Concrete Placement. And
And
we
I'm
are
here as well,
requesting-
Charles Mead.
Yep.
I'm sorry,
Chad
we have-
Craddock is also here.
All right. Chris Barnett, do you have this? Jenna, who's, okay, Chris Barnett, and I'm sorry, who else?
Charles Mead.
Charles Mead.
And Chad Craddock.
Was there a third person?
Chad Craddock.
Chad Craddock. Okay, thank you. Who wants to speak to this issue?
Chris Barnett, I will start with, I've been doing some research on what our needs are on this property. And the uniqueness of the property, I feel like that we should be able to, manipulate a little bit and be able to get some more room on the property based on our application. Do you have any response on the application that we've submitted, or have you reviewed that?
Yes, we've reviewed it. I am not clear from the material submitted exactly what you're proposing. I think you have a new building that you would like to enlarge it from, I think, what was originally planned, so that it then encroaches on the side yard setback. And so we're looking for a variance from that, but I can't tell for how much of a variance or what the reasons are for why you need the building to extend that far.
Well, the reason why is because I think almost half of the property is unusable as drainage detention for most of the community around there. And also we're a growing company and we need storage and things like that. And we need to cold store a lot of our materials right now because of the escalation of pricing and things like that. So, yeah, so but also I've been dealing with Keith Engineering as well. For the size of the building that we have, we'd like to keep that watershed to the east of, or I'm sorry, to the west of our property as it is now, sheet spread, and we'd like to like maintain that as well and have turning radius for fire trucks and trucks that come in and out of our bays and things like that.
Jenny?
Part of the
What is
reason
that?
also is for access. We have trucks and trailers coming in and out of there, which is one, but more importantly, if there was any fire truck needed back there, it would help for maneuvering back there and getting between the buildings. It would be possible still, but this would definitely make it safer and easier for the people to get in and out of the back corner of the property. What happens is if we get too tight over there, which is kind of, we're encroaching on being, I would call, too tight to the existing building. If we can't get the variance, so it basically cuts off a corner of our property, which really makes it not very usable for us.
We had a question here, Mike.
Yeah, I have a question. Is the building 60 by 160? Is it a strip of the building, or is it you're adding onto the building to be 60 by 200? I'm guessing on dimension.
That's 60 by 180 is our proposal.
60 by 180, and then the dash line that goes over the setbacks, are you shifting the building, or are you adding on to that building?
No, we're already able to put the building on the property as is with the 30-foot side yard setback, but we'd like to move that further to the east to allow better turning radius, better drainage, so on and so forth. And we have no neighbors currently, and so whatever you're able to allow us to move to the east would be best for us.
So that's the building we're talking about.
No, so the aerial that first of all, this building does not currently exist, correct?
That is very correct.
And so they're planning on building a building where you see these
Oh,
Park
so this is where
trailers
it's
or,
going. Okay.
yeah.
All
So
right,
they're
now I'm-
looking at building a building on the back of their property. And I'm sorry if I'm slow, but I'm gonna need you to continue to walk through the explanation. You're not quite getting it. The building you are proposing is 60 by 180, is that correct?
That is correct. Can you see the screen now?
No.
Okay, I thought I shared the screen. Maybe I need to be allowed to share the screen.
We're working on here.
Go ahead and try again.
Okay, so
Chris, are you there?
yeah, I'm here. Can you see that or no?
No.
No.
Okay, well, it's not working, unfortunately. Okay. So let me try this. Cancel. I'm gonna cancel that. Share screen. You have that now?
No, we're not seeing it here. I have every setting here. Chris, are you trying to show the,
Okay, I'm sharing the screen now. Okay. So let me pull up the site plan here real quick. Yeah. Is that working?
we see your computer, we see your screen, but we don't see the document.
I'm showing a site plan right now. You don't see that, I guess.
No,
When you,
Huh.
when you took the option to share, there was probably an option of sharing a view or the screen in general.
Okay. I definitely did not choose stop sharing. I'm trying to show. Yeah, so
still-
view. Okay, that's already in. So this should show up. I'm not sure why it wouldn't, but if you don't see it, I guess it's not working.
No, we have the site plan, 8.5
Okay.
by, you know, but it's just hard to read. So
Yeah.
the 60 by 80 proposed building has, you know, solid lines, and then it has some dotted lines which appear to go to the east and over the required setback. And so my question
Yeah.
is, are you just looking at, those are two potential places you're proposing to place the 60 by 180 building, or are you looking at possibly making it bigger, and that's what that dotted line is for?
No. It's actually just shifting it over. The building
Okay.
was already ordered and it will remain the size that it is, 60 by 180. But we'd like to try to get it to the furthest east as possible.
Okay,
okay, so the solid line is where you can place it. The dotted line is where you
Correct.
want to place it.
That is correct.
and where you are proposing to place it, am I reading this note correctly, 5 feet off the property line?
If that's possible.
I mean, I guess we'll make a decision, but what I'm trying to understand is, what are you requesting?
We're requesting variance for the furthest east possible we can get. And if we can get 5 feet, great. And we hope to get some input on your end to what we can be allowed to do.
Is the setback the same for commercial and residential?
Yeah, I started looking that up. I didn't get my book back when I was actually online. I was having problems getting online today.
It was I looked it up, the bulk requirements for industrial.
Industrial.
It was 30 foot setback, 60 combined.
Okay,
Is what, that was my
30?
first question, I believe.
you're ready. Yeah, I can't read the thing on this.
Yeah,
I
can pull up
Yeah, it was Vision 4.
see if I can do it on the fly here. Where's the bulk requirements? Schedule regulations. Light industry is 30, at least one side 30, total of 260, and the rear is 30.
All right, so 30 30 is currently the setback, and you want as much relief from that as,
I'd like to point out too, that that's not light industrial, that's actually heavy industrial back there.
it's a I-2.
Yeah, our parcel in the back there is one of two properties, I believe, back there, that's heavy industrial.
We have a light industry and a general industry.
Well, I believe this was identified to us as being a
I-1, wasn't it?
I thought it was I-2.
I-2 General
I-2.
Industrial District.
Oh.
Yeah. I-2. And so whether it's, just so we're clear, I-1 or I-2 goes to the type of business that can be on there. What we were looking at is for the zoning that it is, what are the scheduled, what are the setbacks set up in our zoning? And looking at it, it's 30 feet for a side yard setback for your zoning.
Jenny, I would just want to correct you. I-2, if this is I-2, which I
Yep.
thought it was I-1, it's actually 50 and 100.
50 and 100.
Yep. I was looking at I-1. What is that drawing? What's the distance on there?
Yeah. What are you, the building in dark lines? What would, if placed there, how far would that be from your side of the property? How far off would it be?
Chris, what is that currently set at? You're on mute.
This is Chad. I believe that's already currently set at 50, which Chris can correct me, but it being 50 really limits the amount of workable space in that area. And that's what we're really trying to hope to accomplish that tonight, if we can get it shifted. 5 feet would be great. That would be best case scenario, that we could maximize our property. As described, we're a growing company, and we've definitely gained a lot more of the equipment, and we needed some more space to be able to store some of our equipment and keep it out of the rain and the snow, and being able to just keep it shifted closer to that lot line would make it more functional for us.
Chris, you usually always bring,
I forgot my book today.
well, you know, the little sheet we have of the factors we consider.
Yes, right here.
Thanks. I grabbed mine and then didn't bring it.
Here you go.
Just, I don't have it. In here. The sort of a little BZA 101, but you know, we through our elected officials and our planning commission set up ordinances that are trying to reflect the flavor of the community that we want. And part of, you know, what every citizen in this township states that I've encountered anyway, they love the rural, spacious environment that we have here. And part of that is being accomplished with the ordinances that we have. And even when we're in industrial areas, we are not looking to increase density of properties so that it looks like we're, you know, some small little city or an industrial town. So the intent of the ordinance is to achieve what the community wants. And when we make a variance from that, we look at, some of the hardship that is encountered. This existing detention pond that is noted on the drawings that's in the rear of your property, is that something all the properties are sharing? I'm not clear on what that is and why that's not usable space.
Yes, ma'am. That actually is the property right next door to us. That water sheds to our detention pond. So yes, multiple properties sheds into our detention pond, which really limits our space because other properties that are touching our property lines are also using the detention pond as drainage. So yeah, and I completely understand when you say having things too tight and kind of taken away from why the original ordinance was made. But yeah, with our detention pond and other properties sharing it, it really takes away from our usable land that we have.
And so how did that detention pond come into existence, and how is it that the other property owners in that area are using it? Is that something that was there when you purchased the property?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you, part owner of other properties in there, and so you're allowing the other properties to use it?
We are not owners of other properties, no, ma'am.
And then, so why are,
I'm sorry, I would only assume that once some of these other properties maybe have to be built up, they'd have to do their own usage or whatnot. But currently, years ago, one landowner owned all of it. And I believe he parceled it all off and had it built that way originally, I believe. I'm speaking of only what I heard or think I know and the future from the past. But yes, currently other areas shut into there, but probably when they eventually have to do their own buildings, if that ever gets built up in that area back there, I would only assume that, not really understanding all the logistics behind it, but they would have to do their own detention area or where their water is going to shed to.
I'd also like to point out, when we first bought the property, we also had to do some improvements to the property as part of our building because we were taking on so much water from the mountain. With Mount Holly being right there, it's amazing the amount of water that comes along the side of that property. We had to build basically a swale all the way down the side of our property with rock obstructions to slow it down to get all the way back to that detention basin. I mean, we were talking white water coming down there on rain events. So we've calmed all that down and utilized it. But yeah, we're definitely catching water from a lot of the properties over there.
Can I ask a question?
yes.
I was out there today, and your fence, when you pull into the open gate area, is that on the property line?
No,
Fence where you have everything stacked up?
no, that's currently 10 to 15 foot off of the property line, the fences.
All right.
Or 4. When you, can I ask a question? When you bought the property, that detention pond was in place, and was it known that the setbacks on that property line for that detention pond was in place prior to purchase?
Yes, we did know that. Again, this is, we put a 6,000 square foot building out there, and our growth has changed our needs, and that's why we're after this now. Again, we can put it on the property as is. It's just, it really makes the back corner very tight with that detention basin. The way it creates a odd shape in the back of the property, it creates a cute triangle in the back side, which if we can't get back there, have enough space, we can't utilize that piece of the whole property.
Yes.
So you mentioned earlier about turning radiuses and topology, topographical drainage and stuff like that. And the site plan we have does not show any proposed grading, proposed contours or anything like that to show any type of drainage patterns on the site, nor does it have any turning radiuses. Can you describe what kind of, first, what kind of trucks are you talking about that need the large turning radiuses? And then secondly, can you describe in a north, south, east, west drainage pattern kind of verbally so that we can look at the site plan that was submitted and get an understanding of where this drainage is going?
So currently, we've designed the property, we designed the, we did a lot of earthwork out there to not have to utilize a storm sewer system. So with the detention basin, that was part of the positive to that. We were able to, everything is graded to drain towards this swale onto the west side of the property, which then goes down into the detention basin. The other, we have our drive goes, swales back into the road where there is basins and things. But the back of the property as well. So the new build would be have gutters, a gutter system that would take all the water directly underground and out to the detention basin. So quite honestly, as far as watershed goes, we think our property won't be affected. It would go right into the drainage basin that's there.
Oh, so there is what looks to me to be a ditch on the western, along the western property line behind the 3,200 square foot, what is that, a proposed equipment cold storage building?
Yeah, that's our building that's there.
That's the swale you're talking about, and everything sheet flows from the east to the west is what you're talking about, correct?
Currently, yes, and then the back of the property, some of it swales towards to the back detention basin, but some of that would change. You kind of flatten that out, and then so that it'll all still drain the same as is, except for the building where that goes. The gutter system will catch the flow off the building and into the detention basin.
So the turning radiuses, what kind of trucks are you talking that need turning radiuses? And I guess that's kind of hard to see on the plan because you don't have anything like that on there, but what kind of trucks?
So we have we currently own a semi truck, one for now, but we're hauling 53-foot trailers with, so land all trailers. We're also enclosed trailers, construction trailers on the back of stake trucks. I mean, at any point in time, we're 75 foot long. So those are the big trucks. We also own a concrete pump truck that's back there. It doesn't require such a big radius, but those trucks and trailers, they're hauling backhoes and bobcats, forklifts, things like that. Those definitely need a bit of a radius.
What's your relationship to the lot immediately south of the lot in question?
There's another basin there. There's another detention pond there. It just doesn't seem to see much water.
No. I'm asking, there's a finished floor, existing warehouse, existing office.
Oh.
Was that yours or?
That's the original. Yeah. That's the original building that when we started out, we put a 6,000 square foot metal building there. And that's where our office space is, as well as some dried in storage, and that stuff we got to keep out of the weather. But that wasn't quite cutting it as we grew. So we had to put a 3,200 square foot pole barn, which is the building you see on the west side of the property. That is a cold storage building with no heat, but it still keeps things out of the weather. So
you have an access route through property right now of where this proposed storage building is, and you can circle around the back side and come out to the back side of the warehouse and then come out the concrete driveway, could you not?
Currently now, yes.
Okay.
But we're also talking, that's part of the reason we want to be able to do the turnarounds a little bit easier, is because we're potentially with our growth, we're potentially taking away that access on that back side to go all the way around the building, because we need more parking for field employees that are parking in the back lot. We want to keep their parking in a segregated area rather than having guys come and park in the yard where it's in danger of, or in getting in the way of equipment and things like that moving around the yard.
Understood.
So they want to be able to come in, turn, and go right back out instead of coming out.
You basically want to turn around and go out the same drive you came in on that lot in question. Is what you're saying.
But yes, potentially that's the goal.
I'm not seeing.
Coming in,
Yeah, coming in
Here.
this lot here along
Yeah.
what would be the east line.
east
They
line.
currently have a gate there with a
Right.
drive
Yeah.
going in there. And then they come along through there and they want to turn 50-foot semi truck back or all the way around behind the or in front of the buildings
Building.
to come back out rather than going all the way around the existing warehouse out the concrete parking area that they have and stuff like that. So that's what that's what I'm having a hard time understanding is those turning radiuses there because they don't want to turn on their septic field or anything like that either. And I'm not sure how shifting the building easterly is going to help that either. So that you're still going to have that turning radius issue, no matter what you do.
It gives us room to back the trailer in, so we can get in between those two buildings. So we could back trailers in and then pull back out. You can drive around from the entrance all the way around, then back there, and then pull back out. And with us having the buildings so tight together, that won't be possible.
And what's the distance between the buildings? Looks like about 55 feet or so.
Chris, are you on there? You have he's a little more familiar with the drawing.
Is gonna give them.
It looks, I just
There's still
don't,
no, I'm not seeing how that's gonna give them enough room to turn a 75-foot
yeah.
trailer. I mean, they're still gonna, they're gonna have to bring it all the way around and still back it in from around the existing warehouse.
Yeah.
Looked at the north side of the lot. That's gonna have to be utilized for trailer parking and things like that. So that's gonna cut into our turning radius. If we have access to get trailers in and out and back in the back corner, we can park trailers back there. And it'll give us more room to turn around. We won't have to park them on the north side of the lot.
Yeah, currently we only have 45 feet with the allowance of, with the side yard setback in the building where it currently is. It's about 45 feet from the other building.
So, rather than engineer this here,
Mhm.
you know, I'll just tell you my thoughts and I'll let the other members, express, but I think it is wonderful that your business is growing. I'm happy for you. I hope it continues to grow. But sometimes you outgrow, the spot that you're at. And one of the things I want to stay pretty true to in this community is that we abide by keeping it, the beautiful rural place that it is and not allowing overgrowth and increased density. And I understand that you're looking at how your operations can work, but I'm still not seeing how there's some hardship there that makes your property unique that would exempt it from the requirements that we have. The only thing, and I'll throw this out there, not that I know that I'm supporting it just yet, but as I look at the zoning, the light industrial is 30. It's the I2 that's 50. And quite honestly, what they're doing is just cold storage. It's just a storage kind of a prefab building. It's not like you're going to have heavy industrial equipment going on. There is nobody there right now, but really that doesn't make a difference, right? Because someday there will be, and that's what we're planning for is, as we continue to grow. So I'm not really persuaded that we've seen the need here, but I do see that within the industrial zoning, even though it's I1 and not I2, it's a little more lenient, and I could see the 30 feet. No way on 5. So those are my thoughts. I open it up to the other members.
I mean, I agree. 5 feet.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Can anybody
Hello?
hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Hi. I've never done a Zoom call before. I'm in Florida and I received a letter, and it's the only reason I'm calling because it's saying that this refers to 300 feet of an area being considered for change. I don't know how this affects me. I have vacant property on Holdridge Road, and Big Sky Drive is right across from me. There's like a large berm, like a hill, and then it becomes the industrial. So I don't know how will this affect me? Should I be concerned?
I don't know that I can answer your questions, but I can tell you that this is a property at the very end of Big Sky Lane, that the backside of this property abuts Holdridge Road. And I don't know where you are relative to that part of Holdridge Road,
Yeah.
but we're discussing.
Yeah, if it's on Holdridge Road, she would not be affected at all by this side yard variance.
This
Let me
letter
finish.
said it's within 300
Please let me
feet.
finish.
So
All right,
that's not
please let me
really
finish.
very big piece
Yeah, I
of,
know
a
these
big
Zoom
area.
calls are hard, but you're gonna have to please let me finish.
Okay,
So,
okay.
so I'm describing, I appreciate everyone's opinions, but right now I just want to describe what the issue is. And the property that we're talking about backs up to Holdridge Road. And the request is for the side of their property. So the back of their property is against Holdridge, and the side of their property, which would abut another parcel on Big Sky Drive, is where they're asking to be able to build closer to that property line than what our ordinance requires. So I don't know where you are on it, but I'm not even sure you would be able to see this from Holdridge Road. So it's just.
Okay. Oh, all right. It sounds like it doesn't affect me. I just received the letter, and I'm out of town for another week and a half. So otherwise I would have been at the meeting. But it sounds like this won't affect me. So I guess I will, hang up then. I just wanted to be sure. Thank you.
Well, thanks for calling in.
Yes, thank you so much. Bye.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
So I guess the 5 foot, I think is I don't support 5 foot. I probably could go 30 feet, but I'm not sure that, I'm not seeing where any variance is going to give you that much more turning space for what you're describing. And I'm stuck as if it really fits all 5 of our guidelines.
I would like to kind of concur with that too. When I looked at the setbacks, and I'm trying to understand the hardships as well and fit in the guidelines, I'm not even sure I would support the 30 at this point, because one of the things that we're guided by is a justification for why we're doing the 30. Because that just sets that up for the next down the road. What's the next lot going to do? What's the next lot after that? Well, you did that so without any identifiable hardship, that I'm not really comfortable with even the 30. So, and that's what I was trying to understand a little bit more about the site itself. To say, hey, what is it that maybe there's some hardship I'm not seeing?
What's unique about the site?
What's unique about it? And it really wasn't dictating that. The drainage wasn't dictating that to me either. So.
And you guys are stuck on this 60 by 180 building, huh? There's no leeway for making that any smaller that would help you out?
The building has already been ordered.
Okay.
But yes, so we already have the 30-foot, so we're trying to just gain a little bit more if there's any lenience at all.
Well, we have 50-foot.
I know that yeah, but,
You have the 50-foot.
Yes, we
well,
have.
according to my site plan, we have a foot side yard.
Yeah, and we're looking at the ordinance, and for the I2 zoning, it's saying, I'm not sure what the D is for, but it's saying 50-foot.
And the difference between I1 and I2, again, is light industrial versus,
Well, it's what they're zoned, so, you know.
it's
and
not
they'd have to-
what's happening in the building.
Well, within a zone are permitted uses, right?
Okay.
So I'd have to go look and see what all the permitted uses are, I1 or I2, but they are zoned, and we've confirmed that, right? So they are zoned I2. Please. Yeah, I just want to confirm, we're talking about these setbacks that we've got, make sure we've got the right zoning. You believe it's an I2 zoning?
I believe so.
Yeah, I mean, that's what everything here is indicating, but let's just confirm that, because it's
It's I2.
it's I2?
Two.
Okay,
So
Correct.
then two, you're supposed to have a 50-foot setback from the property line.
yeah.
Well, our first site plan has allowed for 30-foot, so I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, that's the original drawing. Yeah, for you guys was 30.
Yeah, it's-
Well, I think you're referring to your meeting with the planning commission.
Well, basically, the site plan that you're looking at, that was the original site plan, and it's been added onto. So we originally had the 6,000 square foot building, and then the 32 square foot pole barn was put. But throughout the whole time, that site plan is what's been submitted and approved for both.
So they're on.
I mean, the zoning ordinances, you know, so no, they didn't get a variance. They haven't gotten a variance. And so,
This is Chad Craddock. I just had a quick question. I'm a guy that I'm Charles's partner, and I just have a question in regards to the zoning. That being heavy industrial, and this is coming from a guy that definitely does not have the knowledge that you guys have, where you guys sit and see the things you guys have seen in your lives. But when it's zoned for something like heavy industrial, and it may have whether it be a 50-foot or a 30-foot setback, let's go with the 50-foot, being heavy industrial, I mean, there could be a lot of different heavy industrial things on that, and just me throwing my own personal thoughts out there, you wouldn't want to put something big and a crazy, you know, huge, that's a heavy industrial right next to somebody else's property. And heavy industrial allows for a lot of different uses in that. So the 50-foot stringent, if that is the case, like, I guess I kind of understand that. I wouldn't want to have some, I don't know what type of building with smokestacks right next door to me, you know, and we're not talking about that. We're talking about a cold storage, you know, where we're going to park our pump trucks and stuff like that, you know. So I guess that's what we're asking for. We're not asking to put some crazy absurd building right next to the neighbor, because I'd be pissed if I was the neighbor and I had some smokestacks smoking every day and doing something crazy. But, you know, and I guess I understand where some things could be.
I totally get it. And, you know, and looking at your application, it doesn't look like it's a big noise. But the problem is, it's zoned I2.
Yes, ma'am.
And so, you know, your use within it, you know, and I don't know I haven't looked, but I mean, if your use is light industrial and you can get it rezoned to I1, then you really. But right now, you're in the I2 and I don't see, uh, uh, one of the considerations that we, need to make for granting variance, we're just not hearing the existence in this situation. I understand the disease, the desire. I understand that, it's not an operation that is typical heavy industrial. But it is what it is for us. With a, so are there any more questions or comments by any of the board members or the applicant?
Yeah, this is Chris Barnett, and I know that we had already been through a meeting with the engineer and the planner previous to this, and I believe you were all in attendance as well. And
No.
I think you were, but she suggested and recommended that we go for the 20-foot, and she thought that was feasible as the planner for our preliminary site plan review. I'm pretty sure that you were involved in that meeting as well, but just throwing it out there. She thought that you shouldn't go for any less than 20 feet.
Well, I will be the first to admit that as I age, the first thing to go is my memory. And you came to the planning commission, I was there. We had discussions about the site plan. There were discussions about variance. And I think we kept trying to say, you have to go to the BZA. They will be the ones to decide it. There's criteria that they need to evaluate in order to.
I agree.
So yeah, this topic of a variance may have been mentioned in another meeting, but this is the body that officially has to consider it and make a decision on it. And anything else you did was discussions.
Okay.
Anything else?
So is the suggestion that he try and get rezoned?
I'm just saying.
I mean, in his best interest.
I'm not going to suggest what he does or doesn't do. I'm just saying what the zoning requires.
Right. It would be different if he were a 1 versus 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the things that we have to answer, there's a couple of them. The exceptional or extraordinary conditions inherent to just your property, but as I look at some of the other properties there, it sounds like it's going to be the same for many properties, not just yours. Right. I mean, because as you mentioned, you have the detention pond, but your neighbors are going to have to do something as well if they build there. So.
I believe that detention pond is for more properties than just ours. It's for this Holdridge Road, it's for neighboring properties, and it's for the rest of the industrial park, I believe, because it's a pretty large pond and it's all draining towards it.
I'm willing to make a motion if there's no discussion.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to help me out here, not accept
To deny the request.
request for variance for a 5-foot setback for their building at this property.
I'll support that.
That's a second by Gina. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Savigny?
Yes, I approve the motion made. That's a tough one, right?
Donald?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Lizardo?
Yes.
Sorry, guys. I just don't see a way that we can grant the variance. Variance denied.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming and explaining this to us. All right, next on the agenda, we have Chad Minnick for a parcel requesting a variance to allow accessory building prior to residence.
So we were applying for a variance for 2 non-permanent portable sheds. Those are not built there, just there for storage and maintaining the property. We have a total of almost 6 acres there. That was a gravel pit. So we're dealing with phragmites, Russian olives and all that. So we're using them for storage and nothing more. We live 4 miles away. It's not for living purposes or anything like that. We attempted to build this year and we applied for loans in February. Was it March? February. And I contacted a builder. And then after we found out the prices of lumber with everything going on, we couldn't substantially do it because we want to build there, sell our house on Groveland Road, maybe put a little in the bank. But right now, it's just too much money to do it, to the lumber, the materials, the labor right now. So right now, we're just trying to maintain our property until we can properly build, we'll be able to afford to build and not go broke building and whatnot. So it's for maintenance only.
Do you have a photograph or a sketch or anything of what these buildings look like? None of us were able to get on the
aerial
property.
because in the beginning, Jerome asked me to submit a site plan. I did that. And then 5 months later, I got a letter that it was not approved. And then after that, I contacted him. He was out. I learned that he caught COVID, but I left a detailed voicemail. I never heard back. And then shortly after that, I applied for loans, talked to a builder and everything. And then after that, I was doing the math that it was not affordable at the moment right now because lumber is 250% higher. So it was kind of swept under the rug a little bit there. And then I was cited the citation a couple months ago. And I came in and direct and in contact with Jerome, I came in 2 or 3 times trying to find the right route to solve this. I don't want to have a problem. I want everybody to be happy. So he told me a building permit, which is not affordable, B, file for a variance. So this is why I'm here filing for a variance to keep my shed so I can maintain the property. So when lumber and materials are feasibly affordable, we can build, and then we can sell our place on Groveland Road and live there. So
it's a vacant property
yes,
and you have a house somewhere else.
yeah, 4 months away.
What maintenance are you doing on this property?
It's on an old gravel pit.
What maintenance are you doing on this
We are
property?
clearing all the phragmites. We're clearing all the Russian olives. It's rutted. I mean, we have to have a bulldozer out there to all the ruts for when they used to drain the water away from the pit and all that. So it was never put back to normal when we purchased it from the original people who had it before us. So it's rutted. It's
So
in
excavating
different.
equipment,
What's that?
excavating equipment?
Eventually, yes. Yes, yeah.
That's what you're putting in these temporary storage buildings?
No, that's just tools and stuff to maintain, like lawnmower, rakes, chainsaws, stuff like that, weed whips. You know, instead of having to take it home every day, and we went to safe storage, basically. On the size of the buildings. The size of the building, the one is 10 by 20 and the one is 8 by 12.
And on this lot also has a gentleman's easement, which is a drive-through that goes around a lake. So there's constant traffic going through.
So it is a
On a
gentleman's-
path, it's like a small path, so just, there's not secure, the confidence. of
It's,
secure
it's a gentleman's agreement, so we have to keep everything locked up, kind of, just so things don't walk off. Otherwise, we gotta load it up, take it home every time we're out there. You know, if there's a gates locked with the gentleman's agreement, You know, and when I put the drive in, I got all the permits and everything through you guys and put the driveway in properly and all that. But we're just trying to keep our tools out there and stuff so we can get it ready to build when it's affordable. Whatnot. And nothing is permanent out there. There's no posts in the ground. There's nothing. It's just sitting on gravel. Everything is movable. You know, and when we do build, they will be moved. You know, because we don't want them in the view. So everything will be moved and set how it's supposed to be once we build. You know, and we want to build a barn and a house. So.
You, I think, have hit upon one of the most rigid ordinances we have in this community. Everybody and his brother wants to build a garage, a little storage barn when they're building their house,
right,
for just the reasons that you have explained.
Right.
And I haven't been around forever, but in the times that I've been around, we've never agreed to it. It's just one of those things we're just adamant about. And it's because of a history of
right,
problems. And so that, I don't know of an ordinance in this community that's been more
Tested.
more tested and upheld.
I ask you a question. The neighbor on the other side of the lake was able to build a garage and had 3 outbuildings before his son built a house on the property. How was that capable?
I mean, you'd have to talk to the supervisor and,
No, I
you know,
just
that,
want-
but I'm not aware of it. So I mean, this is the first I've heard of it, so I don't know.
And that's how we kind of got the idea once we got the properties, because we saw what he
I mean,
had done.
People do things that they're not supposed to.
Right.
And if they don't get caught, then so
Right.
be it. But I would tell you in this township, I'm not aware of anybody agreeing to allow buildings to go up before the residents, and there's been many
Even
requests.
being a non-permanent structure like a shed, like it's movable with a skid steer.
I mean, you know, honestly, an option would be buy a trailer,
Right.
you know, and you can haul it on and off, but you start putting a structure on there. It's just one of the things in this township that has been they've been pretty clear on throughout the years.
I've been in the township for most of my life because I bought the house I grew up in. And that's one of the first things I've learned on vacant properties is that no accessory structures without a principal use. And so immediately when I saw this, I was like going, uh-oh. It just red flags. But I do have a question for you, Jenny. And one of the things that, you know, looking at, I don't know your time frame for building, and I don't, you know, I would have to, I'm going to just say it. I'm going to vote no on this, so no matter how it goes, because just of that use. But understanding the circumstances and understanding the industry and understanding all of that, has the township ever done like a bond or a surety that the resident would put up front saying that if, you know, if I don't do this within 6 months or a year, then that surety would be used to remove the structures and stuff. Has that ever been done before?
I don't know. I don't think so, but I don't know. You'd have to ask. You know,
And I don't even know what
the office.
I don't even know what the value of that is. It might be cheaper to buy a trailer than to post a surety and stuff like that. So
yeah,
yeah. I understand the circumstances. That's why I'm asking that question. I'm not.
Yeah, perfect road we would have built this year.
I know. It's crazy.
I can't fathom the extra money in that. It's crazy.
Yep.
We're in the building material market, my company, and I don't know how these people are affording to do what they're doing right now. Residential is up.
Yeah.
It's like, when is this money gonna run out? It's like, how are they doing it? I don't get it.
I've told clients of mine not to do anything this year, to wait.
Right, well, yeah.
Because if it comes to lumber, I said, if you can wait, I'd wait. I wouldn't do it this summer.
Right.
Because of it. And so I totally understand and feel for you on that. I guess my question really came down as your timeline. When did these actually go up? Because from the looks of what I see here, from what you have,
you know, the week of 5/16/19, you know,
Is that
that,
the photo, the aerial photo?
no, this is the very first week that you, after you purchased it,
Right,
you know, and, but then the next one is, you know, little under a year later.
right.
So it almost looks like you had them up before the even going for the permits and everything.
We did, because we did not know we were in the wrong.
So-
We, after talking to the neighbor on the lake, we thought as long as it was 200 square feet non-permanent, that it wouldn't be an issue. And, you know, if we were wrong, obviously, you know, and wasn't intentionally done or anything like that. No,
And it sounds like you've gone through quite a bit to try and get everything.
I'm trying to find a way
To do it
make
right, I just-
you know.
Is there a way that we can not make him tear them down by giving him a year to start on a home?
The building permit's only 1 year from start to finish, right? Or is it?
I don't think that's from start to finish.
That's a-
I'm just saying, our house burnt to the ground.
Mhm.
And we wanted to put a garage up because not only did we have people driving back to see what happened, but we had an insurance company saying, if anybody touches anything, you're not
Right.
getting a dime. And we did not get to build an outbuilding to store anything in. So I get that, but also from an emotional standpoint, there's some things that need to be fixed.
Right.
I go back to the surety.
Sure.
Because,
Right, the guarantee,
because
right.
you know, no matter what happens,
Mhm.
you know, I've seen, just in the short time on this board, I've seen past intent, well and
Yes.
good,
Yes.
and all of a sudden come back and bite us in the butt, if you will. And so, and I've not been on this board that long to do that, so, you know, I'd much rather see some type of surety put up, if you were gonna go that route, you know what I'm saying, so that you can ensure that
Mhm.
if you didn't build in a year,
Right.
and the time's up, and you
Right.
didn't remove the structures from your site, then
It
the
doesn't
township
cost
could
us.
come out and do that.
That's the hard note too, is how do we know when lumber's gonna come back down to,
Right,
to affordable, you know?
and that goes back to, you know, those requests. You know, I
Right.
can't predict what's in the future
No,
either
no.
and stuff, but I know on this request, you know, for the variance, I would deny it just by the pure tried and true
Well, because
ordinance.
it is, it
Yeah.
follows the rules that we should have to do it that
Right.
way.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk to the planning commission. We meet on in 2 weeks. And just ask if there's an appetite to revisit this ordinance to do just that. But as we sit here tonight,
It doesn't address that.
Right.
it doesn't help you. But, you know, it is something that a lot of people question in this community, and it's just never, like I say,
And none of us either want somebody coming on our property to check that doing what we're supposed to be doing either.
Right.
I don't want that, I don't want to build that case scenario either.
You know, you brought up your people across the lake, and one of the things when we went through training, there were things that were approved in the past.
Right.
And, you know, our trainer was like, well, that's the past. You can only deal with what's in front of you.
Right.
This is what we have in front of us. So,
Right.
you know, we can't speak to what happened in the past.
And that, I mean, no offense, that's where I got my whole idea once we were there, was like, oh, Joe's got 3 sheds and a garage over here. And then I talked to him and he said something about 100, 200 square foot, and I was like, perfect, for tools and everything.
Right, well, the 200 square foot is, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that you don't need a permit for it.
Okay.
yeah.
It's not that it's, you know, allowable without a primary residence.
Right,
It's just,
okay.
if it's under 200 square feet, you don't need a permit
Right.
Okay.
unless you're gonna run electrical and
Right.
plumbing and everything else.
Electrical without an address.
Right, so that's the 200 square feet.
Okay.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, I know we had this discussion a while back, you know, with I think you said like 3.92 acres or?
We have, actually have the other.
It's 2 lots.
we have
Do you have 2 lots?
I was gonna ask you, because your driveway crosses that line.
Yeah, it was just, we kind of picked it so nobody could see into what was gonna be our paradise.
Right.
So,
You know, but again, it's still split into 2 lots. So I mean, you, under that 3.92, there is an ordinance as to how much structure you can have.
okay,
So even though you don't necessarily need that permit to do the 200 square feet, it still counts toward that overall square footage. So,
okay,
because that was something I learned, that was, I think last year we went through, 2 years ago, we had this discussion that it's still, even though you don't need a permit for it, it still counts as your overall.
okay.
So
Gotcha.
just to,
Understood.
I mean, as you mentioned, you know, pole barn and everything, because
Yeah.
I look at mine thinking, oh, I'd love to have this, and this, and I'm like, oh, like that's gonna put me over, I can't.
Right.
You
So
know,
there's a maximum based on.
percentage, yeah,
Okay.
percentage of structures
Okay,
to acreage,
okay.
and I don't remember. Do you?
It's in the ordinance.
It's in-
I never took that into mind because our property on Groveland is 12 acres and we got no problem putting up a 48 by 65.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, there's requires it. The whole intent is basically what we were talking about with the prior applicant, and that's just density of building on property. And so,
Right.
so even in the residential, there is, but it's pretty generous. I mean, I don't remember what it was, but you can have, you know, several accessory buildings if
Right.
you want.
Yeah.
On 3.5 acres or 3.8, whatever yours is, or 6, I guess you have, so.
Or 6. if you put them together.
Yeah,
to do 6, you have to combine the 2.
right.
2
Right.
lots, so.
Well, you want me to make a motion to?
Go for it.
Okay, I'll be 2 for 2 tonight, see if I can get the. I make a motion to deny the variance request for the accessory structures on this lot. That should, on section, based on.
ID.
ID 0207 326 007.
Second. Crystal, second. We can have a roll call vote, please.
Donlin,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Israeli. Yes. Minnick.
Yes. Sorry, guys.
So if it's a trailer on wheels, it doesn't matter, as long as it's literally, you can hitch it and move it.
Off and on.
Yeah,
Can you park the trailer there?
you know, now you're gonna have to get in with Jerry, the guy, the inspectors, but
I think it's got to go off and on
yeah,
from what I
Yeah.
remember. I know Harold's were not allowed to leave on the property. I mean,
Not
they
yearly, you're not allowed to leave.
brought it, yeah, they brought it, back.
Yeah,
and
Jerry
forth.
told me that, like, RVs are not allowed to just be out there all year round. That's totally understand.
I have a question. So regarding this, so with this acceptance, a resolution, this certainty, is that a possibility? Because we have a court date in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So what, and you said you had a meeting in 2 weeks. What do we do in that interim to find out if this is a possibility or a pathway? We have a period of time.
I would not hold out hope that it's a possibility, because I will mention it to the other planning commission members. I have no idea what their thoughts on this are. But what I try to do, because I'm on the planning commission and the BZA, if we continue to see issues at the BZA level, I feel it's my responsibility to take it to the planning commission and say, hey, the community's doing this, and you know, here's something maybe we should think about. What do you think? And then I'll hear what they have to say, but I won't know until 2
That could
weeks.
be a lengthy process even after that.
Oh, yeah, it could be months.
So then what is our timeline that we're looking at right now?
Yeah, that's a remove or whatever we have to do.
I'm
Obviously, we can't afford to build this year,
right.
you know?
So
I think that's stipulated in.
did I mean, that's communication you're gonna get from the actual township.
Right.
Which that issue.
Have you talked to the supervisor? I mean,
Talk to Jerome.
talk to
Talk to
Bob,
Bob.
the supervisor. Because he's gonna be the one that can do more for you than we can.
Right, but I mean, now do we just go over maybe do the court thing on the 30th?
What is the court thing on the 30th?
It's at the very end, because he got a citation because he
Oh.
had the buildings
Right.
up. So
Never buy it.
I honestly, and I'll be honest, I look at that and going, man, I have no idea what to tell you. The best I can, based on, what we can do is,
I mean, if we're gonna get fined to remove them right away, we have this time before this to get them out of there or try.
I know they give you a certain amount of time
You know.
to do that. I just don't know what it is.
I mean, if you could,
Just get in contact with the people who originally.
yeah, I mean, if it was me in your position at this point, I probably would try and get them off as quick as I could. Just that way, if you go to the court and say, hey, they're already gone,
Right.
that's gonna look better for you than any. But I'm not a lawyer. That's just my own personal gut feeling would be like,
I mean, and did you feel it going to this hearing that I should have a lawyer right now? Or?
I can't, honestly, I can't answer that. I have no idea.
I don't know either.
It's just a
Civil infraction.
civil infraction,
Right.
so
I
don't know. I'm a teacher and I do construction on the side, so I can tell you my gut would be to try and get it out of there as best you can.
Right.
And I do want to say, while we do everything on a case-by-case basis, it has to be adherent strictly to the property. The decision has got to be based, not how much we love you, it's about the property.
Right. Right. I understand. I do. Just wouldn't have done it if I had known more,
And I'll tell you, during our trainings, that was one thing I brought up, because I don't have a garage. So I'm like, oh, I didn't know about the ordinance about not being able to put something in the front.
Right, yeah.
You know,
in front of your house, yeah.
Right, we've changed some
Right.
things, but at the time, and the trainer said, that's still on you. That's on the buyer. You have to be, I'm like, I'm looking for a house. That's the last thing I'm gonna be looking at. What are the ordinances, where I'm buying?
Right.
But that was one thing, and he was strict on that. I was like, man.
So it's good to know that never in recollection you guys approved this ordinance variance, and maybe that needs to be more well known before people pay almost $800 for an application fee.
Is that on, I mean, it originally only cost me $300 to have the building stuff there. So,
It just needs to be more
right.
known.
I would have just told them for $300 instead of.
That's true.
We don't, honestly, we don't see this until I think we got it, 2 weeks ago?
Not even.
I think last week
Yeah.
was, in fact, I read that we were at a
Thursday.
meeting in the Citizen before I even saw what we had in front of us, so
Okay,
All right, guys,
Thank you.
sorry.
sorry.
make a motion, we adjourn.
Oh, you got that one.
I'll jump up on that one.
Okay, I'll second it. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? All right, meeting adjourned.
Cool.
Yeah,